Okay, good. If folks are still researching or something, next thing, well, what else are we going to do today? We're going to have a Kahoot regarding social media. I know it's been far from earth-shattering, our investigation into social media. We'll have a Kahoot just to get those questions out there. And we may have a little time to watch some video. In fact, we certainly will, because the video is a hell of a lot better than the Facebook stuff. All right, everyone's getting around. That's good. So just a word before we jump in here about the presentations itself happening on Tuesday. So you come up with your group, but Jody's going to frame us a nice, not a close-up, but a nice medium shot, so that the members of the group could be hovering just out of camera frame, step in, take your microphone, and then say, in today's industry news, Disney has just done X, Y, and Z, and do your thing, and then step out, hand off to the next person. Okay? And that'll make a nice streaming news show that we'll have in archive. I'm looking forward to have something like that, okay? So the main point is that as you're standing up here with your mic, you are the anchor person. You are, presenting the news as though you would on TV, Is that clear? Okay, good. I love a little role playing. You were ad executives earlier on in the semester. Now you're going to be anchor people. And I find it just, it makes things a little more engaging. Woo! Okay, so last class I stumbled through these. I find it, both myself as not a heavy user of social media and the textbook as being written by people who are even older than me, I just find it embarrassing or funny to try to tell anybody anything about any of these services, except maybe something as old as MySpace, which you weren't around for that. Friendster as the groundbreaking social network site, which I was never aware of, but MySpace, we definitely had pages on there. One thing I was thinking about, well, how can we make this like just less of a silly exercise of information that you sort of know already? We could break it out into, let's say, what the content of the site is, or the service. So, like, what do they do best? What are they known for? And then I guess, something that we probably wouldn't be aware of that I want to work on more would be basically how this looks from an advertiser's perspective as well, which as users, we're probably not all that aware of it. So that's what I was thinking, going forward, maybe to supplement the textbook, which, as I said, I don't find all that great on this, just looking at from the advertiser's perspective. So I'll bring up a little website in a second with some of that information on it, but the idea is going forward we would have more. But so then, talking about content, I mean, MySpace eventually wound up appealing especially to bands and musical acts. So there's a lot of activity around that. And, the social network part of it as musicians collaborating, presenting their stuff, and fans being able to find musicians on that basis. So MySpace worked during the time that it worked on that. Then Facebook, I think we all know the mythology, and also even, I do remember reading a book about Facebook at a time when it was really taking off, and just, the original strategy of bringing a kind of a safer social media experience to younger people, starting it off in, college settings. So it was originally for college students, and then gradually, first that's an interesting story in itself as to, bringing the service from one college to another across the United States, and then taking the decision to open it up to older folks like myself, who immediately jumped in there and, probably alienated some of that younger demographic that was using it, maybe pushed them off into something else, while we all flooded in and Facebook became, the billion user thing that it is now. It's definitely the most successful one, So again, we could also distinguish out content, in terms of do people use it more for, creating pages of their interests, or of creating a kind of a mood, like a Pinterest type of thing, or need some ideas, go to Pinterest in a visual form. There's a lot of stuff thrown together. And there's even been, attempts to try to make it more searchable. And I have a friend who produces television commercials, always on Pinterest, always on Google Images, just like for inspiration, basically. So some sites more, or services more visual, some dedicated to video, right? Are you guys recognizing all of this? I mean, because again, to me, it's like I'm a foreigner here. Facebook for sure, the biggest, but Tumblr.
You remember Flickr?
For sure, yeah. That was a local thing. And,
it was I feel like before.
A couple people got very rich off of it. Yeah.
I remember that used to be big because of graffiti here, and people would post on Flickr, bands, same thing, kind of, I guess, like Tumblr.
Yeah.
Big stuff like that.
Yeah, image sharing with a social network built in there.
What
we
is
have
Tumblr?
Tumblr?
I've never.
Anybody using
heard
it?
of but I've never-
Anybody using it? Are you Richard? Tell us about it.
Well, it's where people share their images and ideas and talk with each other.
How does it differ from Facebook, maybe?
Well,
Daniela?
basically they're blogs like your profile. It's like, it's hard to explain, but you have one account and you can make several blogs of whatever you want. You can follow whoever you want, just like, Twitter, and you can see their feed, like whatever they post, like reblog. That's how they call it, instead of retweet,
I see.
you reblog. And you basically see your feed is what the people you follow are reblogging and stuff.
Okay.
But that's just like your feed. But what you reblog, it shows in your blog.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't know.
Right. So your blog is kind of like your personal account
Yeah,
page and
personal.
stuff, and so you're building up a blog there, but it also tosses
you can have
that into a
multiple
feed.
blogs in just one account.
Interesting. Okay. And are the average posts like they're longer than 140 characters?
Oh yeah,
right?
they're they can be as long as I don't even know if there's a limit.
Oh, okay.
And they can be pictures, videos, text. I used to use it a lot more when I was in high school and when I graduated from high school and like my first years of college. I don't use it that much anymore, but I thought it was really cool because people share pictures and videos and all kinds of
There's
things.
also no censorship on it.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is a
There's
big
no
deal.
censorship on it.
Oh, and so how does that translate out into how the? Is like a lot of it X-rated and stuff? Like,
it can be. Yeah.
it can be.
Well,
Yeah.
You follow just like Twitter. You
Like
follow
Twitter.
whoever you want. So
Okay.
if
If
you want
someone's
to
doing
see
something
X-rated,
gross,
that's
you
like
can
you're
like.
gonna follow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, cool. There you go. Okay.
So is it just a different format compared to Facebook? Like
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
totally
different.
different. It's completely different.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like it's less dedicated towards personal information and
Yeah.
family moments and
It's
stuff. and
more about, it's
topic
less
driven.
personal. I mean, a lot of people use it personally as like blogs or whatever, but it's very big with like fandoms of things,
Oh.
of like musicians and movies and shows.
Okay.
And artists,
Artists
post their work
too,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cool, interesting, because it's all. I mean, it sounds like it's very fluid. Like, and and you're also saying like the age range from which you used it, and now that you don't, and so, Jonathan,
I was
you
going to
wanna-
say, yeah, it's very hobby driven.
Okay.
So people that just want to look at jokes all day, they just assign to those people, so they want to watch memes and just flip through memes all day versus blog stuff. Yeah. So it's a culmination of things compared to Facebook. That's more, this is my public identity. This is these
Yeah.
friends and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right, which to me is like, I mean, it's become to me the archetypal social media thing, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
It just grew up that way. Well, that's interesting. And, in the textbook, it treats blogs as sort of as a more general kind of, maybe even like an earlier social networking type of application, if you want. So it's interesting to know that Tumblr would, kind of group your blogs in a more coherent way, But the textbook discusses blogs as, sort of topic-driven sites, but that are more loosely connected than other forms of like Facebook or even Tumblr, where you're, I guess you're more deeply integrated into a web of associated accounts and sites and stuff, versus having a blog on the internet is, you're kind of out there on the internet, right? So that's in the textbook anyway, that's what they're thinking about blogs. Then I'm thinking in the summer classes, I get people doing WordPress blogs and stuff, and WordPress.com attempts to make itself into a social network. That it's just like you have to have the WordPress reader, and then it's proposing to you other blogs, but it's basically just a free blogging software. So I found that. I mean, I guess we could have a category of sort of failed attempts at social networking, and WordPress.com would fit there. But what about Google+? Anybody using Google+?
What is? I don't know what it
Really?
is.
It's like for Blogger or something, or YouTube.
Doesn't it come like?
It does.
Phone comes with. So I have a Google Plus
Yeah.
account. I've heard a million times. Who the hell has a Google Plus account? But I know with HTTP or Android, you just have it
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Gmail and all that. But I don't know what it is. Like,
Well, to me, it seemed like it seemed like Google was going to attempt to create a social network and sort of shoehorn every Google user of any service. Basically, if you have an account with YouTube, if you have a Gmail account, everyone's touched by Google somehow. You also are immediately enrolled into Google+, as long as you use any service. So it's kind of like a social layer put on top of any one of their applications, Google Drive, whatever. You're going to have, at the same time you sign up for an account, you're going to have a Google+ account as well. And the way they've organized the social aspect of it is you have circles, so you're kind of defining in a very LinkedIn type of manner, I guess. You're defining people that you're connected to, and then as you share stuff, it goes out to your circles. But they also apparently have integrated into their advertising, so there's actually a lot of complex connections out into the other stuff that Google does. Micah, do you have more to add to that one?
No,
Yeah.
I tried it for one day, but it really never took off.
Yeah, I did try it myself, and all of the faculty here, we were kind of like, we made a circle and we were sharing stuff among the circles. But it apparently only has in the hundreds of thousands of users, so that's really small compared to Facebook, But then on the other hand, they may be like, thinking differently about it now and using it as a sort of a niche service, because if the 500,000 users are just the people that they want to work with, apparently it's stronger with developers and with people who use Google services a lot, and maybe more deeply than just the free public versions and stuff. But, they all of their services have like what are called APIs. So it's like they'll open up Google Translate, they'll offer people the developers basically the way into using that service through their front end, and so people doing that apparently are more involved in Google+. But it's kind of like a social layer that's applied over all of their other accounts,
But any company is going to just compare it to Facebook.
I think so. Yeah,
That's-
yeah. But just remember, Google does an $8 billion a year AdSense business, right? So they can also throw into that, you can display all your ads on Google+. You know what I mean? So they don't have the numbers that Facebook do, and I'm sure they're disappointed about that. I'm sure they were trying to compete when they started. At least that was, just a public perception. But it seems like, it could still be valuable to them, even in different ways, rather than, we don't have 1 billion people on it, but maybe, for your specific application, it's useful. I don't know. Google makes most of its money through search, like you search for something and there's paid advertisements that come up, but they also, like other ad networks, have, presence on millions of websites, and so they can make money that way, and maybe Google Plus is part of that. I'm not too sure. Right. Oh gosh, Google Plus. Oh, there we go. And then Instagram. Instagram users? I remember having a bunch of. Richard. Okay. Daniela.
Nobody else?
A few. Okay. It's like whatever. If you want to come forward and confess, it's okay. So anything making that special beyond?
I think marketing
Food
mostly.
pictures.
Really? Richard, what?
Food pictures, a lot of food pictures. cute dog pictures.
Oh,
Picture
okay.
basically.
Okay.
And small videos. Actually, it was before Snapchat, so videos were a bigger thing.
Oh, okay. Daniela?
For me, it was mostly, especially like people I know from back home, like, oh, my life is great. Look at all the things that I do in my life. Here are all the pictures. So I'm like, I don't use it anymore. I'm like, I don't want to
Okay.
see it.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I mean, it's great. I love looking at pictures. It's just, it feels at a point that it's like, oh, you know, this is what I want you to know about me.
It's a highlight
Yeah.
reel.
Everything. It's like
Highlight reel. I like that.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, Flickr was a great place for people to share their pictures, and there was a community aspect to it. But yeah, I totally hear what you're talking about, a highlight reel. And I mean, it seems to me that's what, just trying to psychoanalyze the whole content and my experience of Facebook, just like yours. You know, we have a friend, for instance, who has kids. Every picture she takes of them, they're dressed identically. She stands between them, and they're posed like identically. But we're talking about hundreds of pictures a year. I mean, this is like so bizarre. And so it's like you're looking at this going, oh my God, she's done it again. Like, what is she thinking? You know?
But you're looking at them.
Of course, that's right, because they're coming through, you know. And so there is this whole thing where, you know, I mean, again, I'm saying psychoanalyzing it, but you know, people like to construct stories about themselves. They always have socially. And here is an incredibly powerful tool to construct a narrative about who you are and what you're doing in your life. Like Jonathan's saying, a highlight reel, right? You're only going to show the very best stuff, and all of the fallout from that in terms of how people feel about their own lives while they're looking at your incredible life and so on and so forth. This is real stuff, you know.
Well, I do really like the idea of it. I just think the thing that started bothering me is that it feels like so many people do things just to show them on Instagram. And that's why I was like, okay, like going to concerts and like people just like filming the whole concert with their phone and like just to post it on Instagram. Like, can you just watch the concert?
Right, you replace the lighter.
Yeah, that's true
or you
too.
know, like the obsession with likes and stuff like that. I was just like, that's just.
Yeah. You know, it does also. Another concern is it takes people out of the moment, and they're so into documenting themselves that they're not having an experience before they're documenting that experience, for sure. Yeah.
Just from talking to my friends, it seems like social media platforms like Instagram and all these other ones like Snapchat and Twitter. They're all kind of niche platforms for video, or Twitter is for posting your thoughts, or Snapchat is for videos. Facebook can do all three of these things, but for some reason all my friends are reverting and not using Facebook anymore, and they're going to these individual narrow platforms to do just one thing at a time, it seems like. I don't really know. It seems counterintuitive. You think everyone would want to go to one site to do everything.
Yeah.
But instead they're opting to just use Instagram for photos, and then they go to Snapchat and to look at and share videos and stuff. And it just
Do you think that, and I'm asking everybody maybe, do you think that's a matter of utility? It's just like some of these more specialized apps are better at particular things, or is it more like a kind of a social status type of thing where, you know, Facebook is the Coldplay of today or something? It's
I think
just
it's
like
trendy.
so mainstream, it's just like,
It's just old.
what do you guys think? What, Richard?
It's just growing old, that's it.
It's growing old, yeah. Old, I mean, as soon as they let us in, it was, you know, dead for college students, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's definitely kind of a convenience thing. Like, I think with Snapchat, you can send like short videos or pictures. When you send short pictures or videos to friends, it's like kind of sharing little small moments with them, however you may do that. And then with Facebook, it's more, you're trying to really share an opinion about something you like, especially if you feel strongly about something. Let's say on a political platform, you like, you know, be a keyboard warrior about it, like post an entire essay and then throw it out there for your friends to see.
Is that because it's more durable? Because like Snapchat is the one where messages evaporate after a while, right? Is that right? So that's nice. You don't have to think about taking it off yourself, right? But then Facebook, I mean, is that the reason why you think people would go deeper and go into more let's say less ephemeral, more it takes more time to do that type of posting?
Snapchat is more personal too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Facebook's
It's just, oh, this is what I was doing. Here's this little moment. Versus Facebook, you can get into your politics. You can
now
get
you,
into
you can like Snapchat. You can like send like a couple of videos
Private
to
people.
private people.
Oh,
at the same
okay.
time.
Ah.
But in Facebook, if you have a video, you post it to everybody. You post the same video. To
There's another thing. Okay, so in terms of utility, the targeting of your messages, it's easier to control who it goes to. Interesting.
Like if you wanna make things known, like more serious stuff, like or you have a campaign or like a GoFundMe or stuff like that, you're gonna use Facebook or you're gonna use probably Instagram to let it know. But Snapchat, not really. You're just gonna. It's just instant. It's seconds that you're watching a 3-second video or just
Got
one
it.
picture, just one person. But Facebook is like if you wanted to stay there or like he was saying, like a whole like statement about something, you're gonna post it usually on Facebook.
Okay, got it. And I guess Snapchat doesn't have things like pages, which are created for causes or companies and stuff, which is like a permanent site that, yeah, versus Facebook, that's a big thing. I mean, if you are an activist, you're
For sure.
liking certain pages, contributing to it, trying to promote those pages and posts that way.
I don't know about you guys, but in Snapchat, the thing is like the screen doesn't turn around. It's all like vertical.
Okay.
So whatever you take needs to be vertical. That's a different approach to it too. So
Oh, okay.
every ad or anything you see, you will swipe up. It's like
Oh, interesting.
It's-
So
it's-
if you're shooting anything to go on there, you got to hold the phone the wrong way. Interesting. Maybe that's why I noticed in my video for the web class over the summer, it's like you keep saying point your phone that way, and everyone's coming back with videos that look like this, And I say, well, when you put it on a screen like this, you're only using. And then they say, oh no, they're not putting it on these screens anymore. Oh my God.
That's the thing about Facebook Live video, is that's only vertical.
Yeah, it's only.
Is that it too? Yes. Okay. I wonder why they did that. That's.
I think just for mobile users.
Oh, interesting. I mean, it's just like, is the world better pictured in thin slices, or I think it's better pictured that
no,
way.
it was for the facial thing that they wanted. They wanted to focus on the face because they wanted that dog thing
Oh, that's
to go.
Snapchat.
Oh, for the filters and stuff.
Yeah, they wanted the
Oh.
flower thing to go away.
Okay,
That's why
but-
they built it.
Oh, because I'm thinking Facebook Live. I'm always thinking, well, you're in the midst of a demonstration or something, and you just want to show it. I'm thinking citizen journalism, but
Not at all. No, it's for goofing
that's-
around.
it's for goofing around.
So Apple went to with Face ID because I think that's where the
Okay, that's where. Oh, for sure, that's where that part of it. So, but on to citizen journalism. Has anybody seen any of that like happening live? Have you followed any kind of political developments through social media versus? Yeah, Micah?
I see it all the time on Twitter.
Okay.
It's just like
Someone would say that.
it's like it's kind of what you said. It's just every like seconds after something happens, you usually see like, oh, I saw an explosion or something, or it's like, oh, just comments about every little thing just seconds after it happens. I think
Okay.
like, faster than really any
And
other.
posting video as well.
Yeah.
Right, little video clips and stuff. Okay.
So, and now they put it up to 280 characters for some people.
Oh.
Some special.
Oh, for the special people.
But it's still full of Nazis. But
These are all good, Micah. These are great.
Twitter has easily the worst like reporting tools. They don't really care at all. It's about anything that's like on their site, harassment, death threats, things like that. They're very hard to remove and report people like that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I was listening to the coverage of the congressional hearings this week about Facebook and Twitter's there explaining about their ad policies and how Russians managed to post ads on there. And one of the experts was saying, well, a big difference between Twitter and Facebook is Twitter is an open social media platform. You don't really know, you don't have to have a solid identity to participate. So he was saying that some people consider up to 30% of Twitter users are not real people, they're bots.
Yeah.
Versus the percentage would be much lower in Facebook. So they were saying it's going to be a lot easier for Facebook to, clean this up and provide more
things like that,
transparency.
but I don't use Facebook anymore because I'll get on and there'll be like 3 or 4 friend requests of fake people. And
Oh, okay.
click it and
You
it'll
just
be
don't
a
even
fake
wanna
page
know
of a
about it.
person, and
So your experience
For me,
is
I'm like,
they're probably not all that solid
exactly
either.
the same.
Interesting.
I know Facebook has that real name policy where you have to use your real name, and well, I know drag queens hate it, but that was kind of like a big story that came out a couple years ago. But Twitter doesn't have that. I don't go by my real name on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
and
See, they
I have to
put-
block. I have to block at least 3 or 4 French porn bots a week. So,
Uh-huh.
but it's still kind of.
Are they really French?
all their names are in French and all their descriptions are in French. So
That's because French is the sexiest language.
No, it's not.
It happens a lot on Skype too.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Skype is terrible.
Yeah, I get like random ads,
Skype is a social network now?
random
Gosh.
ad requests from like
John had his hand up.
porn bots. Is like, what are you doing?
Okay,
Go.
let's have a call. Okay, John?
I was going to say a good example of, I forget what the phrase is, but amateur journalism.
Citizen journalism? Yeah.
Tommy Lahren, she's a
Yeah.
conservative pundit. I don't know if she would be considered amateur anymore because she's so somewhat mainstream now, but yeah, I see stuff like that on Facebook all the time. Her and people responding to her.
Okay.
Is that a lady that shouts all the time?
Yes.
No, that would be Ann Coulter probably.
Yeah, there are a lot of shouting. along
But
those
yeah,
lines
she
there.
shouts for sure.
Yeah.
So but she's
Yeah,
not
it's becoming more
she's not
common.
kind of streaming herself live from some news site. She's like a commentator.
Yeah, it's like she's streaming from her house basically. It's a
Yeah.
lot of times she's streaming from her car seat.
So that wouldn't I think when the citizen journalism moniker or term or whatever I think is more pointed at like what Nico was saying, people who happen to capture something that's newsworthy, or this extends further into if Facebook can't if the New York Times can't have, well, they do have someone in Iran, if they can't have someone in Syria, for instance, they're often reduced to reporting, building connections with people in the location who are through social media, basically. And there's a couple documentaries that I have kicking around, but the idea just being that you can't go to these places, but as a journalist you can still develop contacts and have information shared, and although you can't vouch for it the way you could as a journalist, a professional journalist who goes somewhere and actually reports this stuff, if this is the best you can do.
So it's more like journalism using citizens. It's not citizens are trying to become journalists.
Well, it could be both, but like I was saying, I think at the place where the boundary between professional journalism and citizen journalism is kind of blurring is in those news spots where professional reporters can't go. It's too dangerous, can't get that access, you could get killed or kidnapped or something, but there are people there who are trying to get their story out, and as long as you can see their motives and work with that, this is where a lot of reporting is coming from those types of places. So I just look at it as a continuum from someone who is standing on a corner when a robbery happens and you get a 6-second clip of people shooting, or or a police abusing somebody, out to the other end of the continuum where this is practically the best that professional reporting can do. All of that would cover citizen journalism. I think all of it is really important. But yeah, Nike.
I think Twitter has started to sort of embrace this with their new moments thing. What they'll do is, like, say there was a terrorist attack or like a big event. What they'll do is they'll take a bunch of tweets about that happened seconds after that, like raw video, people describing what happened. They'll take some actual professional journalists' opinions and what they said, and some more news sites, and then they'll throw this all together in kind of a swipeable format for you to consume,
Oh, okay.
post-event wise.
Oh, I have to check that
It
out.
seemed like that was happening in Vegas.
Yes, I
Yeah.
bet. Anything big that would capture a lot of.
Discussed, over in Manhattan. When,
Yes.
They were catching the suspect. He was running in the streets, and there was people in the building above him, filming on their phone, just
Oh, wow.
publishing it right as it was happening.
Okay. So you get enough of those posted to Twitter, and you can pull those together and really assemble practically a multi-camera shoot of some guy getting shot or whatever, right? Yeah. Interesting.
I
Yeah.
really like that feature because you don't even have to look for like the the most important news anymore. Kind of, you just go to the search part of Twitter and like it shows you like those moments, and then you can keep scrolling and seeing like the best.
Oh, I've got to check
And
that
if you
out.
want to
what's
keep
trending.
reading more about it, you can look it up, right? But they will show you like the top comments and like comments of people who were there, or like
Ah.
things of, and then it's not just news. It's just like things like they were showing group Halloween costumes, like, and normal people their Halloween costumes, like. I don't know. I feel it's
Okay.
really cool.
It's
Yeah.
it's equal parts serious and fooling around and having fun
Yeah.
too. Interesting. I have to check that out. There was an app called Storyfire, I think, and this was 3-4 years ago, I guess, which would let you do exactly what you guys are describing. You could pull in tweets, you could pull in video, you could pull in all kinds of stuff. You could type in your own bits, and then out would come this kind of convergent media, multimedia story. It was great. Now it sounds like you don't even need the third-party app. Of course, they're eliminated thanks to Twitter. And I suppose that's another thing we should all be aware of. It's like the people that we're talking about, the successful players, are so big, so successful that they can absorb a lot of innovation that smaller app producers are making. And I've also been reading, critiques about the near monopoly status of these big, especially Facebook, as the biggest. People are attacking it, but just saying, could a new Facebook emerge when the current Facebook is so, multifaceted, where Google is doing a million different things? Could a Google appear now? Because, they'll just buy it to get, more people into their service, a larger audience. Or they'll just, clone the app and put it into their service, and all of a sudden your startup is, you've been had. So it's there's Marxist rumblings of discontent in the digital business commentary that I read. Anyway, has Vine disappeared, by the way?
They
That's
turned
pretty
it.
bad.
Yeah, it's just part of Twitter now.
It's what?
It's part of Twitter.
It's part of Twitter? Oh, so just you're in the midst of Twitter putting up your what do my kids like? Zach King? Is he still a thing?
He's good.
He's good. He does some pretty cool special effects. I confess to have watched it several hundred times compilations. What's that, Richard?
We went to Oprah, Ellen.
Yeah.
He was famous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these are places where people can make a name for themselves in new media and then go on to like an everything media type of career.
He used the 6 seconds to its maximum. He was very smart.
Yeah, we that's right. He is really good at it. I'm thinking we had a student in this class like 5 years ago, Jordan Tayer, who went to work for Twitch, and his job at Twitch now is to manage or handle, I don't know what the word is exactly, but he's kind of like a talent handler. So as to try to retain the people who have the biggest audience on Twitch as they play games and talk and do whatever they do. I just found an interesting way that he wound in part of the business is just basically grooming and taking care of and being nice to these like overnight sensations who pop up on Twitter and stuff. And, from our perspective, or mine anyway, it's really difficult to try to train people to be successful in new media because it seems so ephemeral. It seems like, somebody could be the greatest documentary filmmaker of all time, but they, could get 1 million less followers than someone who just is a cute person who talks in an engaging way to the camera, So then how do you teach people to be cute and talk well to the camera? It's difficult. I don't know. Strange new
It's
world.
more one of those things when you get more technology, you're giving it to people. So you realize that everybody can be talented if you just give them something to be talented. So
I'd
you
like
get
to
a
think
guy
of it
who's
that
a
way.
director, of course he's a director, but nobody else has the money to do that, or go to college to do it. But you get somebody a camera and they, who knows who will like it. That's all it is, really.
Yeah.
So many people.
I hope so, because on another way of looking at it, it's steadily what you used to have to train to do, and therefore you would develop a certain kind of value in your work. It's just becoming easier and easier to make music, to make video, to do all of that, And I mean, I agree. We may be uncovering, optimistically, we're uncovering the next genius filmmakers and stuff. But pessimistically, it just, is taking the bottom out of just being able to do stuff, because more and more stuff is done for us by apps or by, it's like you can just dump a bunch of pictures into iMovie and output, something that looks like a credible movie trailer now or something.
Those are only affecting rich people. You know what I mean? Like, if you're thinking about entertainment, that's just entertainment. There's so many different fields of work. So if you're really it's apps, that's only entertainment. That's all for you for a minute to be happy. So I don't really see a floor coming out under anybody, because if it's a guy whose floor is coming out who's a billionaire, I don't really care.
Gotcha.
You get a million people who are happy to do something. So it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
It doesn't really extend into other fields,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, let's talk about production and producers and stuff. One thing I was struck by is, in old broadcasting, we often say, audience is the product, and so the way that you could kind of make people think about that is you could say, you sit down in front of the TV, you think you're relaxing, but your presence in front of the TV is being sold. So to a Marxist, by watching TV, you're the product. You're working while you sit down in front of TV. That's still true in the sense that when you're on Facebook or wherever posting, all your interests, all your profile information, it's all sucked up, and your presence on the site is being sold, right? You're being categorized into, this guy's an athlete, he posts pictures about his weekend games, or, we'll sell that information to people who want to sell athletic shoes or whatever, So you're still the product, but in an interesting way, you're now the producer as well. You're the marketer, in a sense that if you like that pair of shoes or something, you are now selling the product to your friends. So what do you think about that, and have you seen any evidence of that? John?
Well, on Facebook, people like products all the time just because they really like Doritos, and all of a sudden, by liking it, it's coming up on other friends' pages.
Yeah.
So you like something, you're automatically advertising it on behalf of the company.
Yeah.
I think that's a new innovation.
Uh-huh.
Or like seeing people's Halloween costumes. Oh, I really like that. I want to get that next year. So, stuff like that is
Right.
ongoing, never ending. And that could just be even on Instagram, not necessarily on Facebook. Hashtag Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Hashtag Cookie holding the milk carton to get candy. Stuff like that. All by hashtags.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
well. That's also advertising.
Got you. Yeah. So they talk about native advertising as advertising that doesn't appear to be advertising. And there's complaints about that in old media. It's like, it used to be clear where the commercials were the commercials, and now you're watching a show and there's product placement, and you're in the newspaper, and it's like, well, there used to be reporting, and then there were and now there's paid reporting and stuff. So it's interesting. I mean, people talk about some of the most effective product. We've all seen a million television commercials, and we're all kind of skeptical about them. But if a good friend of yours recommends a product, you're more likely to buy it, right? And I think social media manages to, automate that, basically, so that people, like you say, if you happen to have a picture, something looks cool, someone was doing something cool, and it doesn't come to you all like packaged up by an ad agency. It's like a friend of yours was doing something or having something cool, and then of course I might want that in a way.
And
Richard?
then endorsements by celebrities, players.
And those are kind of in the mix in social media as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If they share something on the Twitter page, it's bound to people are bound to buy that.
Okay.
And then I saw LeBron James has it's something on the new Beats headphones. I'm
Ah.
sure people will buy that just because LeBron says so.
Okay. So is he in business with them too now? I think there's a
Sure, he's got an endorsement deal.
there's just an HBO documentary about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, I guess. Iovine, this famous. Iovine, thank you. Right. So just they're making more billions with those headphones and stuff. But it's apparently a really interesting documentary. A Strange Duo. Check it out. Well. Yeah, so I mean that's I guess something to take a look at too. That user generated content turns people into marketers who are doing the marketing work for free, basically, forwarding all that along. And so I guess there's part of the platforms are simply enabling more of that, I guess.
Which is where you get fake accounts coming from that type of brand or whatever the case may be. And then they try to friend request you as well, even though it might be a company trying to sell you cosmetics or whatever the case may be.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's much less clean and obvious because now there are different promotions to put the stuff into people's hands so that they use it, and then there's, like you say, accounts that are helping forward that. Yeah. Ooh.
And the sponsored content are so creepy that it's really creepy because I go on Google, I search something, and I go back on Facebook, and then boom, it's there. It's telling me that, there's a small box there, and it's advertising that same thing.
Oh my God.
That's creepy. I'm telling you.
Right.
Don't you wish you had a shirt that you didn't have to tuck in?
Okay. Oh my gosh. So we talked Snapchat, blogs, Reddit. Reddit. People using Reddit?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. So public old person's perception of Reddit is if you want to see someone's getting their head chopped off or something, that's where you're going to find it. Is pretty much uncensored content and
That's still kind of true.
Okay.
They're starting to have a bit more moderation. They're starting to ban some of the more hate group kind of subreddits, which are the small sub-communities that form on it.
Right, which is where you can find that stuff.
So they've kind of had a culture change recently, but it's still, watch people die. You can still do that. There's a whole subreddit for that.
Sounds like the deep web or something.
It's just Reddit. It's
Just Reddit? Yeah, it's there.
It can be pretty terrible at times, but there's plenty of good people on there, and there's plenty of good content.
Right. Olive?
I'm surprised they didn't put in Yelp in here
Yeah.
because that tends to be even like
People use
go
it a
Yelp
lot.
it instead of go
Right.
Google it.
Right. People use it a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. That's a good point. Okay. Anything else we talked about here before we have to get to? Oh, relationships, ambient awareness, being alone together. Okay. This I thought was an interesting concept. This is because this,
Don't remind me.
right. You always know a little bit about what's going on, but do you actually connect with other people?
All depressed together.
Ambient awareness is the idea that you always sort of know a little bit of what's going on, but it's not really a very deep connection promoted. In listening to you guys, it was very interesting. Facebook is definitely becoming a bit antiquated. Thank you, Tony.
Oh, and Tony also mentioned she wanted to do the BET network.
Okay, so that's part of the Viacom stable, I guess, right? So that is the whatever entertainments.
I just bought it.
Gotcha. Okay, let's try a Kahoot, or this is going to keep you guys here a little bit too long.
Doing a live stream.
All right. We're moving in here, but 12 questions. Are you ready?
Mark, you mean this? He's like, I don't even know what.
Which service is considered to have broken the ground for the social networking sites of today? Oh, 9 people got Friendster. Good for you. And blogs can be considered watchdogs of both the government and the media. All right, well, let's move to the answer. Yes, 9 people say it's true. It is true. Blogs can have some actual, kind of watchdog value. Which of the following describes Google Plus? Failure. All right, 10 people. It is a social layer across all of Google's services. All right. Which of the following best describes Instagram? Okay, so both yellow and green were good answers, and together, 9 out of 11 got it. That's not bad. So place to store visuals and a social network.
Communities.
Is that a fair characterization based on, we were going into such detail? What's that? Is that like a daily double? There we go, 9 people. It's a micro-blogging social networking site. Okay,
Still correct.
yes, dominance. Something collects pages of images reflecting a mood or vision called some people call it a self-expression engine. All right, woo, boy, that's good, I guess. 10 people got that one, right? Something is a social network most associated with a career and job information. Oh, even I could have gotten. Oh, wow, okay, 10 people got LinkedIn, right? We talk a lot about it in our classes, LinkedIn too.
Can I get a promotion?
Something is known for impermanent posting that disappears fast. All right, woo! That was our best one. 10, everyone got it right. Which platform is primarily issue-oriented, where ideas are shared, not photos? So, why would that be?
Oh, platform.
Did people say not blogs because it didn't seem like a social network, probably?
You
I missed the
can post
concept of
photos on
that.
Reddit.
I mean, Reddit is a blog.
I think all of these are blogs. I mean, except for maybe Snapchat.
It's a
Or
quick
blogs. Huh. I guess, I mean, I was trying to
Post something that you want.
trying to give you this one as I was saying that the textbook looks at blogs as more, I don't know.
Not like likes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think of issue oriented. I think Reddit could fall in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is always posting. So maybe switch Reddit for Facebook, and we're like, oh, blogs. You can't.
True.
I totally
True.
thought Reddit.
We could clear that up. Yeah, okay. So we'll try to clear that one up. Like, make more outlandish alternatives. Okay. Something occurs when the ordinary person on the street using social media observes and reports. Always. All right. 9 went for citizen journalism. That was the right answer. And being loosely yet incessantly connected with others via social networks is called? Oh, okay. No, number 5. Ambient awareness is what we were talking about.
Using it.
So we just
The closest we've ever got.
talked about it. Okay. Ambient awareness. Anything. What's not true about internet privacy? Last one. There is no internet privacy. It all must be false. So which one is not true? Okay.
Under that,
Sure.
Steve
User-
Buscemi takes the win.
Oh, there it is. Users feel in control of their data is clearly false. They should not feel in control of their data. There we go. Steve comes up on the podium. 12 out of 12. Genius. Louis. All right. Ta-da.
We didn't even discuss that last one.
Oh, is that right? Otherwise, you would have been sharing the podium with Steve Buscemi. Yeah, you're right. We didn't get to the privacy thing. We just had to get it over with. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.